Hey folks, Amanda here. Just a quick heads up that from time to time, the Survivor's Guide to Thriving podcast does include some adult language. So if you've got kids with you, you may just want to hold on to this episode to listen to a little later. Enjoy! Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Survivor's Guide to Thriving podcast. I'm Amanda Solman, and along with Mark Jewell, your host for this show and the creator of the Surviving to Thriving movement. Each week, we'll dive into the mindsets that keep us in survival mode and learn how to get on the path to a truly thriving life. If you're looking for a wake-up call and want some valuable tools to get there, you have come to the right place. After all, survival is dead. It's your time to thrive today. Now, let's head over to the show.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Survivor's Guide to Thriving podcast. This is your host and founder of the Surviving to Thriving movement, Mark Jewell. Guys, today I'm here to bring you a very pragmatic message based off of something I've been learning, something that popped up in a YouTube video that I was actually listening to in the background. I constantly keep YouTube going in the background. In fact, I think one of the best investments I make every single month is in YouTube Red, which is like $13, but it allows you to continuously play YouTube even if the video isn't on. And so I look to that for musical inspiration in the background, things you can't find in other places. I look to it for inspiration from motivational speakers and influencers in my space and all kinds of good stuff. But I'm listening to this, and one of the speakers in the background the other day used the acronym HALT, H-A-L-T, HALT. And I wanted to bring this to you today because I find that a lot of my coaching clients, myself, my team, my friends, my family, we could all use this message. We could all utilize this HALT in our life. We could all use a little bit of this tool and what it can do for us. And HALT, HALT, basically what it stands for is hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And as I was listening to the speaker, the guru, talk about the word HALT, H-A-L-T, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, I realized that these four areas are really kind of the buckets within which most other triggers lie. Like these are the buckets that within which most other triggers kind of exist, right? So we've all been hungry. You know, and there's hungry. That's okay to be hungry. It's not bad to necessarily be hungry. In fact, fasting is even good for your body. But when you get hungry throughout the day and you're not prepared for it, you're not mentally prepared to be hungry. Maybe it's that little bit of time just before lunch and you didn't get much of a breakfast this morning. Maybe it's that little bit of time late in the day when whatever you did have for lunch has worn off. Maybe you're like me and you frequently forget to eat lunch. And so somewhere about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, your body starts wondering where the hell's the food, and it starts to make some rash decisions. So here's what happens when we get hungry. Okay, when our body literally runs out of sugar to digest and feed our brain to kind of keep the glucose running throughout the body, your body literally is going into sort of a self-preservation mode. Your body's literally starting to protect, and it's pulling in resources from other parts of the body that are non-essential in order to literally preserve your mental state, your body, and your essential organs. And then when there's no more left to just really even run the brain, and there's not a lot of glucose to push through the brain, the body will take what it needs to minimal amounts to kind of keep the brain running, and it pushes everything towards the vital organs, your heart, lungs, the things that basically keep you alive. And so everything kind of goes towards that. So it's literally self-preservation. And what happens is you start to maybe get a headache. You start to maybe feel in your body, can literally feel in your body the feeling of what we call hunger. Not the stomach hunger, but the parts of the body just feel maybe a little bit stiff, maybe a little bit hard. Maybe it starts to feel a little bit like it hurts, almost like pain. And what that literally is your body saying, hey, listen, eat, go eat something. But often we're just not in a position right then and there to go eat something, right? Sometimes it's not the case. We don't have anything accessible or easy, and it's, we force ourselves to stay hungry. And so what happens is, because the brain has taken away some of the essential resources to keep the body functioning, we don't have some of those essential resources in our brain power at that time. And this is actually when we start to make some bad decisions. You might snap at somebody, even for the smallest things. I see my kids do this all the time. I know I do it. I know my wife does it. We all do it, where we will literally just get kind of snappy, a little bit short with other people, right? We make poor decisions about how we manage relationships. When it gets to the point where you've got to have something and you don't have maybe a healthy option available, and even like if you look at the carrot, even if you have a healthy option, let's say you've got a salad in the fridge or something like that that's accessible to you, often what you'll do is you'll opt for the Snickers, or you'll opt for the gas station burrito or something, because in your mind you know that there's a higher, faster access to sugar, which is what the body is trying to get into it, because it knows as soon as I get sugar, I will feel better. And so you'll often opt for those things. This is when we make poor eating decisions. There's lots of poor decisions that get made when people get hungry. We get irrational in some cases. And what seems irrational to the functional, evolved human brain is actually perfectly rational to the primitive brain, because it's literally that the brain's purpose is to keep you safe and alive. So don't get mad at yourself, but just understand, like, look for the fact, and this is where we can pause, right? We halt. We stop, right? That's what halt means. It's a German word that says stop. Like, stop. You're hungry. Before you make this crazy decision, before you snap at that person, before you go for the bag of chips, and not just one or two chips, but all the chips, before you go all in to fix this, take a chill pill. Like, just take a minute and understand, like, if I choose to eat something healthy and grab some almonds as opposed to grabbing all of the bag of chips, I will eventually feel better. I just get to stop and take a minute. Or before I snap at somebody, maybe I need to go just grab a quick protein shake to get some sugar and some protein in my body, so that I don't have that massive glucose spike that also doesn't make me feel good. So HALT starts with the letter H, and it means, like, when you get hungry, watch yourself. Just understand it's totally normal. It's totally natural. I'm going to get hangry. It's going to happen. How do you respond? Okay, how do you respond? Just pause, halt, take a stop, take a little time out, get yourself something good and healthy that can kind of keep that brain functioning at a high level. So, what's the next word? Angry, right? So sometimes we get a little bit angry. Could be triggered by the hunger. I don't know. We've all got different scenarios that we go through. But the reality is, at the end of the day, sometimes we get angry. We get triggered for whatever reason. There are things that we can eliminate from our life, but not all of the things that sometimes make us a little bit angry can we get rid of. Now, I could go into the whole mindset, and we could start to dive into, like, well, why does it make you angry? And where is this stemming from? And what did you decide before you turned 10 years old that you have bought into and continued to reproduce and recreate in your life, because that's where all of this comes from originally. But in lieu of time, I don't have time to get into that in this episode. We just need to stop and recognize that sometimes we are going to be angry, and it's perfectly cool, okay? You're going to get angry a little bit once in a while. The question is, how do you respond when you get angry? What is your process? So I'm just going to share with you my process that I try to buy into. Am I 100% perfect with this? Absolutely not, because sometimes I still say stupid things when I get angry because I'm looking for that little bit of significance. In fact, usually when I get angry, it's because I feel a lack of significance, or I feel like I'm being ignored. I'm feeling like I don't matter. And that's what I get the most angry about. You may have a different experience or different things that make you angry. But when I start to feel that way, as soon as I catch myself, I will pause. I will try to take a little bit of a walk outside. I will go jump on the trampoline with my kids. That is a great redirect, because it gets a little bit of the endorphins rolling in my body. It makes me feel better, helps me kind of get through that. And as soon as the endorphins start rolling, interestingly enough, the anger usually goes away. Getting around my kids usually makes me less angry. But the failure to not do so, to just stay in my anger, guess what? Pretty soon I start to see my kids fighting with each other. right? So a lot of times when we're in that angry energy, we attract more of that angry energy and we trigger that in other people. So as I start to feel my blood boil, regardless of what's causing it, I've gotten in a really good habit and a good routine of taking a few minutes. I've got some tracks on my phone in my iTunes where I'll go and I listen to this and I help to reset it. I will literally go into a room, whether it's my basement or in the third floor of my house or outside, and go for a walk, and I will start to yell, scream my affirmations. What happens is when we don't fully process and feel out the feelings, especially the angry feelings that we have inside, we actually embody that energy, and it will literally get stuck cellularly, like at a cellular level. It gets stuck in your body. Get this: cellular memory. Cellular memory is 500,000 times stronger than your mental memory. So when we don't properly process emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, etc., if we don't adequately process that, it will get lodged in your body, and later on in life, it'll show up as a disease of some kind. So it's important to process the anger. So what do? You stop, halt, right? I'm starting to feel like a German Gestapo or something like that. But halt, stop yourself. Understand, hey, it's angry. You know what? Sometimes I'm going to get angry, and that's perfectly okay. Don't blame yourself. Don't get down on yourself. Don't get mad at yourself because you're angry. Don't feel like you don't deserve things because you get angry once in a while. That's perfectly normal. But just pause and then come up with a healthy activity to redirect. Go for a jog, go for a walk, do a meditation, do some push-ups, scream into a pillow if you need to. We literally sometimes have our kids screaming into pillows to let the energy out rather than have it get stuck inside their bodies. These are all things that are important. So sometimes I'm going to get angry, you guys, and it's going to happen. You're going to get angry. So find a healthy way to stop, halt, and then go find a way to get it out. So what about this next one? L, lonely. You know, a lot of people would maybe find it surprising. I don't know. That I frequently in my life, I'll just share transparently with you, I'm somebody who feels quite lonely. This is really interesting. I've done a lot of work on this past year. And one of the things that I've never had a problem with my entire life is being able to fit in with other people. In fact, to me, if somebody is in my life, at a mental level, to me, if somebody is in my life, my understanding, my basic belief has always been that they're there in my life for a reason. I believe if somebody shows up to one of my coaching programs, even if they don't want to be there, that they're there for an important purpose, and that's, they're there for them right now, and there's no mistakes. I've never had a problem fitting in yet. I'll share quite vulnerably with you. Up until 2017, early 2017, I've never felt like I fit in. I'll say this again. I've never had a problem getting along with other people, being accepted by other people, being a part of any group that I want to be, whether it's the cool group or the smart group or the badass group or whatever it is. I've never had a problem fitting in, but I've never felt until this year like I belong. And that's perfectly on me. It has nothing to do with the people I was hanging out with or anybody else in my life. It was all on me and a basic belief where I felt like I didn't belong. And so, interestingly enough, I would create scenarios within which it was easy for me to have access to other people. I'm very extroverted. I can talk to anybody. The other day, I talked to a guy on the Delta flight from Atlanta for literally 2 hours nonstop. I have no problem doing that. I get energy from it. But feeling like I belong. And what's interesting about that is it has nothing to do with the other people. It has everything to do with whether you fully accept yourself or not. Let's say that again. Whether you feel like you belong or not has nothing to do with the other people. It has everything to do with whether you fully accept yourself for who you are. And until I truly got that, you guys, I was lonely. And as an entrepreneur, what I do out here sometimes is very, very lonely. A lot of people look outside in and they see, hey, like that looks like the dream lifestyle. You're getting on planes, you're going everywhere. You still have time to do stuff with your kids. You go on dates with your wife. That looks perfect. But I'll be honest, in some cases, it is work. It is risk. Like when it comes to running a business, you have to make decisions that sometimes don't make sense, that doesn't add up with what the rest of the world deems as the way you should make decisions. You have to be risk averse. You have to be willing to go places that other people are not willing to go. You have to be willing to put yourself out there in front of places you've never been. The other day, I was in front of 750 people doing a keynote, which seems like it should be the most recognized place on the planet, right? Like you're the one with the microphone, you're out there in front of the group. Yet it's also one of the most lonely places, because if you flop, then you have ruined not only your reputation, but the reputation of the person that hired you, and the reputation of the person that sold you, and all of those things in between. And so the pressure becomes massive. And now, I have very healthy ways of dealing with that, and years of experience and being able to build into that, but it can be very lonely. So whether you're trying to start something or trying to do something inside your company, and sometimes you got to stick your neck out, that can be a very lonely place. Sometimes you don't feel like you belong, you don't feel like your friends give a shit about you, and that can be a very lonely place. Sometimes somebody will say something that make you feel like you're an outsider. That's a very lonely place to be. So when you start to be lonely, when you start to feel like you're on an island, like nobody could possibly be screwing this up as badly as you are right now, and let's be honest, we've all done that. I don't care if you're the best mom on the planet. Sometimes you doubt yourself. I don't care if you're the best husband on the planet. Sometimes you wonder whether she really loves you. I don't care if you're the best wife on the planet. Sometimes you doubt whether he really gives a shit. Right? We all do this. I don't care if you're the best employee on the planet. Sometimes you feel like you're screwing everything up, right? We do this to ourselves. We start to make ourselves be lonely. And then in those very lonely times where we feel like we don't fit in, we feel like we don't belong, sometimes we make poor decisions. Sometimes we choose not to reach out to that extra customer at the end of the day. Sometimes we choose not to go and share that one extra thing and just be a little bit vulnerable. Right? Because we're afraid of how it will be perceived. We start to make ourselves lonely. Sometimes you feel like there's nobody who could be doing this worse than you. Guys, I'm just going to share with you right now. No matter how bad it is, number one, I can guarantee somebody else is screwing it up worse than you. And number two, when you get to that point when you're feeling lonely, and you're feeling like nobody cares, you're feeling like nobody could be worse than you are or in a worse position than you are, reach out. Reach out. Don't make decisions that you either can't reverse or that can get you stuck or that make you paint yourself into a corner. Believe me, this is the number one place where I have screwed things up in my life, where I paint myself into corners or create situations that are harder to get out of than they need to be. When you get lonely, reach out, phone a friend, use a lifeline, something. We've talked within our circle, within our team, and I know Amanda on our team is doing a lot of work with this right now. We know a lot of farmers out there where the suicide rate is literally like the highest of any profession, even higher than military-related suicide. And my friends, if you're one of those people who's getting lonely in that space, and that's you, or you know somebody who farms and is going through a tough time or maybe in danger of losing their farm, don't be afraid to sit down. I'll share this quick story with you. Back in the 80s, when my dad was still a fur trader and trapper, he walked into the house of a farmer one day in order to ask permission to go and trap his property. This is during the farm crisis of the 1980s, and the old man walks into the kitchen, and here was the farmer sitting at the kitchen table with a handgun. And this wasn't a scenario where he was protecting himself and threatening to shoot people that walked in the door. This guy was about to lose his farm, and he was ready to take his own life. And as the story goes, my old man sat down and, long story short, talked him out of it. But what's interesting to me is how many people get to that point where they feel so damn lonely that there's nobody else that they can reach out to. And I understand it, because the story in our head is that we're lonely. And so we're lonely, that nobody cares, and that nothing is ever going to change. And guys, if I've learned anything that I can just guarantee you is true, whatever the situation is today, no matter how good, no matter how bad, no matter how amazing, no matter how lonely, no matter whatever it is, whatever the situation is today, it will eventually change. So if you're lonely, if you're tired, if you're hungry, if you're angry, if things aren't going your way, The situation will eventually turn around. You just have to play the waiting game. And the fastest way out of that is to change your state. Do something different. So, what happens when you get tired? What happens when you get tired, right? It's HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Guys, when we're tired, when our bodies are tired, when our minds are tired, this is when we cut corners. This is when we literally would take any shortcut we can. Again, it's really actually just basic preservation of energy. Your brain is trying to find the quickest way to get the job done and save the most energy for your brain and for your body. And so it's pretty normal that we make poor decisions when we get tired. It's easy for us to get triggered by others when we get tired because it takes more energy and more thought to be present than it does to just shut down and shove somebody away. It takes more energy and thought to stop in at that one last farm on the way home, or do that one last sales call on the way home, or to have that one last coaching conversation with an employee. It takes energy to do that, and when we get tired, sometimes we can't be present. So here's the thing about being tired. When you get tired, understand this: energy can always be created. Right? By rule of physics, energy is never destroyed, right? So even as you burn energy in your body by eating food, and you turn that into nutrition, which gets burned, put out into your body, and it does different things, and the glucose gets shoved out to the cells, which they take it in and they burn that for energy. And if I can't get glucose, my body can actually start burning fat, and it can turn that into energy. So the body has a lot of different ways to get energy. And that energy gets turned off into something else, right? It doesn't get destroyed. So it's always, and energy is always around you in different forms. There's lots of ways the body can create it. What most people sell themselves on is the idea that when I'm tired, I need a nap in order to recharge. Okay? Most people think they need a nap, they need to sleep more, they need to go eat something, whatever. Now I get that. Now there's time and a place for eating and sleeping, and getting some good habits, and you have a lot less issues around feeling tired because of your food situations. But no matter how tired we are, you could have 2 hours of sleep, you can create energy in your body in order to be more present. The way that I recommend doing this is literally like you put on some music, you do a little AC/DC Thunderstruck or whatever it is that you like. Do some damn jumping jacks, some push-ups, go for a little jog, go for a walk, go outside, even if it's cold out. This morning I wanted to wake up. It was cold. It's like 15 degrees here in Omaha, Nebraska. On December 8th, as I record this, I had shorts and a sweatshirt on, and I was like, I got to wake up. So my garbage cans were still sitting out at the curb from last night. I walked outside in the cold, just my sweatshirt and my shorts, just to get that little boost of energy so that I could wake up, be more present, and have more fun with my kids while we're getting ready this morning. Physical exercise, doing something physical, is usually the best way to create energy in the moment. Will it last forever? No. Will it get you through the next 15-minute conversation? Abso-friggin-lutely. Stop selling yourself on the idea that energy is hard to come by. Stop selling yourself on the idea that you just need to go home and take a nap. Because here's what happens. When you're tired, you're less likely to go home and take a nap, more likely to go home, crack open a beer, crack open the bottle, right? And then just create the same damn problem again the next morning, because even if you have 1 or 2 beers at night, you're still not going to be as rested the next morning. I'm not saying don't drink. I'm just saying watch why you drink. So, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. When you get hungry, understand this is a signal that your body's sending you to get some food, to get some nutrition. Before you make the poor eating decision, pause, halt, stop. Think about what would be a better decision right now that will help you feel better longer. When you get angry, understand, create a process for yourself. I'm angry. I understand that I'm angry right now. I need to do something a little bit differently. Cool. Pause, halt. Meditate, go for a walk, scream, yell, beat a pillow, go punch a wall if you have to, just not hard enough to break your hand. Okay? When you get lonely, reach out, talk to somebody. Start to understand that you're worthy of that next conversation, because you are. And if you're stuck in a dark place right now where you feel like you can't talk to anybody, you call me. Okay? I will talk. That is my commitment to you if you're listening to this right now. Here's the other thing. Okay, when you get tired, understand that energy isn't something you nap for. Energy is something that you create. Okay, you can literally create, you can attract energy into your body by activating your cells, by getting some push-ups, doing some sit-ups, do some air squats right there in your office, anything like that. Just go outside, get a little breather, get some fresh air. You can create more energy in order to feel better. HALT, you guys. Let's stop. Let's stop being stuck in these triggers, these cycles, and the story that gets created from them, because you deserve more. Listen, guys, I'd love for you to all pop over to markjewelltraining.com. Our team has done such a great job of creating blog posts, and we've got now 45 or so episodes on the podcast. So if this is the first one you're listening to, you can head over to iTunes, look for the Survivor's Guide to Thriving podcast, or go get it on our website at markjewelltraining.com. We have 9 regional events set up for 2018, and it's towards the end of 2017 as I record this. We have 9 regional events set up throughout the year. If you're interested in attending one of those events and just want to know what that would look like for you, for your company, for your team, etc., we would love for you to just head on over to markjewelltraining.com. You can access us through the Contact Us form. Just submit something to the website, reach out to Amanda, reach out to Wade, reach out to me. Also, hit us up on the Facebook, and so facebook.com/themarkjewell. You can hit us up. We've got Facebook pages. We've got personal Facebook. Connect with me on Snapchat. Mark James Jewell is my Snapchat handle. You can hook up with us on Instagram at MJ_training. Guys, we've got all kinds of stuff, whether it's the company or me personally. Please get connected. We'd love to interact and engage with you outside of the podcast here today. So thanks so much. God bless. HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Those are the 4 big buckets of triggers. When you find yourself in one of those, understand that is a trigger. And behind every trigger is a story, and that is a story that can be changed. Will you survive that story, or will you thrive into the next one by shifting gears? Everything else is just surviving, my friends. It is your time to thrive today. Let's go get it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Survivor's Guide to Thriving podcast. You can find the show notes and links to all the resources mentioned in this episode by heading over to markjewelltraining.com/podcast. And if you feel so inclined, we'd love it if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. That's what helps us move up in the charts so that more people can find us and start their surviving to thriving journey. See you next week.